Yeah, but they're taking a generic type of character and they're cherry picking examples of it. But they completely overlook examples of the opposite.
Horrible, ugly women who are not attractive at all?
No, there's a character in Dragon Age Inquisition, Cassandra. She's very warrior-like. She's got short hair. She's not ugly, but she's very devoted to her faith and her beliefs. She's romanceable, but it's not a typical, like, big boobed, frilly hair kind of girl. But she kicks ass, but she's honorable. They completely overlook that portrayal of a female character and focus on what they view as this overly hyped sexualization of female characters, not taking into account all the female characters that aren't that way. And yet they don't object to most of the guys in video games being big muscly dudes. So if you want some fat fuck, be it male or female, in the video game, running across the battlefield carrying an Uzi, doing whatever they're supposed to be doing, how realistic is that?
Yeah, your badass characters, generally speaking, aren't going to be the cream puff types. Unusually, badass characters are what you want to play in a game because it's more fun.
Just that SJW bullshit where they're cherry picking.
The ideal, you're going to the game to escape and look at...
Well, I think it started with political correctness and it morphed into this online thing where you can't say anything that doesn't trigger. That whole concept of being triggered. I despise that word.
Yeah, no, it became part of lexicon.
Okay, see, maybe I have heard it.
And for really overly annoyed also.
For annoyed, right.
Overly annoyed.
But for what you're saying, this is something that is an emotional response
Yeah,
to
no,
something
you can't control it.
you can't. Okay, so that seems like somebody is not respecting the fact that you're human and you get irritated. So being trigger is just a.
Yeah, but
it seems like it demeans.
No, a lot of times I think people have grafted onto using it in order to suppress the freedom of speech of other people.
That's exactly what it is. It's so that they can blunt their own response that's coming back at them.
Like you had no control over yourself.
This is just another play off of Butthurt from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the butt hurt. Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just it's a reaction to people's over emotional states. So they say, "Oh, went from being did you get butthurt when I said that?" to saying, "Did we trigger you?" It's almost more demeaning to say trigger.
That's also a term of judgment. It's something they use when they psychoanalyze you. Like they do things to you on purpose to find the triggers so you can control yourself.
That's where it's from.
So this person's pulling some fucking psychological nonsense
It's
on you.
non-pop.
Well, that's what it sounds like. It sounds very
Anyway.
dismissive. And this is an extension of the political correctness.
Yeah, because political correctness has devolved into its own form of intolerance.
Well, yes, no, I have experienced that firsthand. I have, yeah. I called a Honda a
ultra-liberal.
rice burner, and
The
somebody lost their
ultra-liberals,
shit on
right.
me. And it's a term that I've heard my entire life.
Say a car is a rice burner. Is that racist? I don't know. I'm asking because she was told it was.
Yeah,
That
I was
like
told quite
somebody
bluntly, like this guy got really angry with me. I love Hondas. I think they're great cars. And actually, I was being complimentary when I used the term, so it threw me for a loop that he was like, "Mah."
See, they get caught up in the word and not the context.
Context doesn't matter.
But context is key.
They don't
to
care about
understanding.
context.
Well, this is why I keep saying that the left has gone so far to the left and the right has gone so far to the right that they've gone full circle and met in Crazy Town. Because you can't do that. That's freedom of speech. Once again, we're back to freedom of speech. You have the right to say
Which
whatever
the
you
SJWs
want.
absolutely
They don't agree in it.
no.
They don't, and that's really what makes me mad. Like I hate so many things, but I agree with you being able to say them. I don't want to hear you say them, but I know you have the right to say them, whatever they may be.
We have so many defamatory terms.
But an SJW
endearment
would be
for a lot
triggered
of
by the
things.
use of your rice burner.
So an SJW would be triggered by rice burner?
Yeah.
And I saw that in action a couple of...
And the thing is, with
Discussion.
a lot of these SJWs, they object to something, yet they don't really give a flying fuck about it. If someone is passionate about a particular topic, whether it's gay rights or Black Lives Matter, and they're really, truly passionate about it, all right, maybe you take this deeply emotionally for whatever reason. At least you care. But I think a lot of times these SJWs who get, quote, triggered, do it because they want to have something to bitch about or some cause to espouse that they may not have any real fucking feeling about in the first place.
Well, does it have to do with superiority? Are these people just trying to feel superior? Is this their way of
part.
feeling superior?
In part, I think that's a component of it, or
And
at
this-
least, well, at least with some of them. But one of the big things is that they've taken political correctness and equated it with representation now as well. It's not just confined to the terminology, because they'll bitch if there isn't a black character in a video game, or they'll bitch if there's not a gay person in it, even if the inclusion of that character was completely out of context.
That
But
they
when
did.
there is a representation like that, they still find fault with it. A good example is this: there's a character in Dragon Age Inquisition, Vivienne. She's a mage. She's a black character. Tell, she's a haughty aristocrat. She's included in there. She's very intelligent. They start bitching because they can't romance her. So even when there is inclusion,
I'm sorry. Back up. They can't what?
romance her.
Romance her. What does that mean?
That there are characters in the game that your character can have some sort of romantic interaction or relationship with.
Is she the only one in the game that you can't do this with?
No. There's several characters. There's a specific reason for that in the game, that she's the mistress of the Comte de Ghislaine, and she's very devoted to him. So she's not available.
So being able to romance her would make her a cheating whore.
Which would be more impressive in their eyes.
Okay. This world confuses me.
Viewpoints.
I studied anthropology and this world confuses me.
But
Complex every day.
every one of those characters in that game that they had, these SJW people had specific problems with. That Cassandra, you could romance her, but she wasn't rough enough looking.
So this is, okay, so what is happening here?
you could also romance Sarah, but Sarah didn't want you if you were a guy.
She's just a big L word. She's a big lesbian.
Yeah. Dorian was a gay man. So
People
women,
understand they don't make the games. Like, this is not their job. They don't have a say in any of this stuff. So
well,
why
they
buy
feel
this
that they're
stuff?
entitled to.
Just
A lot of
saying,
time, energy, and effort to get to the end
why
to
go
experience
through
all
it
the
all?
characters.
Because they're morons, though.
Well, it's not your fucking game. You didn't create it. It's not your vision. You go create your own goddamn game then.
You know-
Well, it sounds like everybody just wants everything so personalized.
Character in there called Krem. Krem is one of the mercenaries in his, and you learn that Krem is a woman, actually, but is a man, transgendered, or is living as a man. They bitched about that, but it was treated well. It was well written. It was treated with sensitivity. It wasn't like just thrown in for the sake of being thrown in there. Kind of illuminate what the culture is. But God only knows it's a problem.
And that's a shame because then you can't appreciate the creation in front of you.
You wouldn't know the game studio, but CD Projekt Red did the Witcher series. You play as Geralt, and he's a whoremaster. He'll fuck anything that he can get his mitts on. In the books, oh, I didn't read the books, it's based on some Polish novel, but they're a Polish-based company. And you can go around hiring prostitutes, but he's not interested in men. They didn't particularly like that, and CD Projekt Red said, well, that's the character, put up with it. If you don't like it, don't play it.
I'm sorry, they were upset because he was only getting on with women?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pre-existing material, though. like
Right,
you said,
right.
so-
Yeah.
They didn't create the character, the author of the books did.
Right. And the author wanted the character to be straight.
And they cheat themselves, it's one of the greatest games ever made, and they cheat themselves out of that experience because they can't step outside of themselves and see the world through the character.
I'm assuming this is a small part of the community that just is like this.
It's, in this case, size really doesn't matter because probably 9 out of 10 people who played The Witcher either played through it and enjoyed it and maybe made a favorable post or something online if they really liked it, or the vast majority remained silent. But not these people, as Terry well knows. They are the most vocal of people out there because they want to make sure their opinion is heard.
So the most vocal of people, and they're the people that you want to shut up the most.
Pretty much.
Like they're the opinion that is least wanting to be heard.
But there's counterpoint to them is steadily rising at this point.